I kind of organized the round table around topics. So the first one that I would like to for us to cover is, in general, eHealth. So what is eHealth? I mean, we all know what is health. So what does that E at the front gives to the table? So eHealth, pervasive health. And here I'll actually ask you, Oscar, to start this open discussion with giving us some definitions, or let's say frames about eHealth and pervasive health.
Yeah, okay. Well, I will try to do that and introduce already some hints for discussion. But yeah, well, if you want to start from a definition, eHealth or pervasive health, well, it is mostly the use of digital technologies applied to healthcare in a very, very, brief way. So what does that mean, digital technologies applied to healthcare? Well, we are living now in a world that we are immersed of a lot of gadgets, of technologies like mobile phones and like wearable systems and like, wrist-worn devices and all these kind of new devices coming out and that will keep coming out, that are helping us to monitor everything in our life, even in a way that is going maybe too far, even farther than it should probably sometimes. But in the other hand, it helps a lot really on having control and information that could be put together with what we consider information coming traditionally from the healthcare domain. So information about electronic health records, information about blood samples, as someone is an expert here in the panel, and a lot of information about genetics, for example, a lot of parameters that can help to in a way to analyze better what is our health condition. So all these devices are another element that can support to monitor and to put that information together with, for example, information about our lifestyle, what we eat, how we move, and all that. That all is part of healthcare at the end of the day. So if we would like to talk about the definition, I would start with something like that. Still, one thing is that we have all the potential and the the possibility of using all this new data, new information. But in the other, it's not only about technology. It's also about how we utilize this information, how we create organizational frameworks in which this information could actually be used by someone. What about the ethics behind knowing everything about someone? What about the security, regulatory aspects? So it's not about only technology, but a lot of things around that make it much more complex. So even if I have the best technology, if I don't have the organizational framework to use that, the knowledge from the clinical people and so on is almost useless having all this technology. So first thing I will put on the table, but maybe we can discuss further also with other experts' opinion, is yeah, we have all this technology, but we have a lot of barriers that don't allow us to have the full potential of this technology. So first thing I would say, okay, for example, so some researcher like Mitja that I know, he's very, very good in knowing the technology. Well, at some point, all his expertise can stop if there is the right condition to bring it into the field. So maybe just start thinking about how to overcome this, or what he thinks about it, as well as the other experts. Would be very interesting to know, to see if we are doing the right thing, only focusing on technology, if we should have a wider vision. What are the challenges? Because here we have people from the policy making side, from the company side as well, that don't want to give this information for free. There are a lot of elements that put onto the table that are already part of a kind of potential hard issues to address in any case. So I stop now, but I'm very interested in knowing from the others all their points of view on this regard.
Yeah, Mitja, you were named in the introduction. Would you like to follow up on this one?
Yeah, sure. I don't disagree with anything Oscar said. I think he put it quite well. But I would like to.
You don't have to. I know it's a discussion, but you can also agree.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would just like to point out one thing that I find very important about eHealth that Oscar wasn't focusing on so much. So he said that it's about using digital technology in healthcare. And yes, that's perfectly correct. But when you say healthcare, I at least think of doctors and hospitals and basically institutional healthcare. But I think that eHealth is very well suited to bringing this also to the patients or to the regular people before they become patients. And that's the aspect of eHealth that I'm keenly interested in. In our research, we usually develop solutions for patients rather than doctors. So eHealth in the hospital, yeah, it can accomplish many things, but quite a large part of it actually doesn't do something that wasn't done without eHealth. It just makes it more efficient. On the patient side, I think it can bring new things. It can bring increased awareness of one's health. It can bring advice, empowerment to do something about your health. So it consists of things like mobile applications that are kind of cool, that people like to use, and that they improve their health. So it's a different perspective from the more medical one. You know, you go to the doctor when you're sick, but generally this is something that you would prefer to avoid. However, you may download an application that will help you be healthier because it's a nice application, because it's something you want to do. That's for healthy people mostly. For patients as well. In the healthcare system, yeah, we have healthcare professionals, and there is never enough of them, and they are always overworked. But then you also have all the patients who can be considered a huge workforce that can do something to improve their health. And eHealth and mHealth and maybe something else like that is here to empower them, to help them do this, because they are not experts. So they need applications and things like that that tell them what needs to be done, what to look for, and then they can do it.
Thank you, Mitja. Dragan, I saw that you are agreeing with this, so
yeah.
No disagreement until now.
Very
Please
go
good,
ahead. Very good. So I'll go a little bit on the information management side, because our company mainly does information systems, so EHR platforms which produce data and ingest data and work with data and analyze data. So speaking here for this part of the world, for North Macedonia, we have been facing a situation in the past 7 or 8 years where eHealth, or everything which is with E in the beginning, means eliminating paper. And while this is true in much regard, you have to be ready to do it. So copying the paper form in the software is just moving the business process from the paper to the software, which doesn't always come naturally and doesn't improve anything. Even it can make things difficult, because if you digitize paper in a location which doesn't have internet connection, or which has difficulty having hardware for accessing the software forms and so on, So for me, eHealth in this standpoint is basically utilizing technology to make our lives better. So technology is not a goal by its own. It should make things better. It should improve things or make a base for improving things. So this is a weird aspect to think about it sometimes. But also paper is technology. For example, you can print your for example, a vaccination certificate, and you hold information, the QR code, which is, I don't know, 1 kilobyte, 2 kilobytes. So this is also technology, and the paper is the medium. Maybe it's not green, but it's also not green to overuse hardware and so on, and to spend electricity. So this is the challenge we are tackling, and really the right mindset is not is changing our behavior, because with digitization, with introducing all these new technologies which are available for us, we really need to change our behavior a bit in order for the adoption to succeed and not make things more difficult.
Thank you, Dragan. Yeah, so I think, Zaklina, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I like also now to speak from a government body side. I came from a government, from a ministry.
We would like to hear that now.
Yeah. And I've been in the health sector for a long time, really, 14 years, and I have to mention the situation on the ground. Of course, I agree with Mitja and Oscar and Dragan, and we already mentioned that these categories, for example, old people and poor people, we need to take them to think about them, about those who don't have access to technology, should always be taken into account. And from other hand, I think all this with the introduction of new technologies, new gadgets and everything in health should be maybe seen more from a doctor's side, because they need to have this information, and this information to be maybe more accessible to them, but and they need to take a decision, to make decision with all the from all the information, but to not to lose their time, to wasting their time, and to really do in physical examination of the patient. I heard this sentence from doctors always. They look only in the monitors and not in the patient, or not at the patients. And I also want to mention the role and value of eHealth solution for healthcare professionals now in the situation of COVID pandemics. Really increase the normal operation of health system stopped during. We know that during the epidemics, only emergency procedures were done in our country. I know that this is in all the world. The situation is the same. The work of health professionals was extremely difficult. And from other hand, patients reduce personal visits to health facilities to minimum due to fear of infection, but also due to changed treatment practices and various restrictions imposed by health facilities. eHealth and its various solutions suddenly become the only way to provide fast, efficient, and secure health services, as well to ensure proper communication between health professionals and healthcare professionals and the patients. And following this interest of health professional and patients in using eHealth solutions has increased significantly, and using of eHealth solutions, they start using eHealth solutions more intensively due to emergencies and other factors, but also due to patients' pressure. Patients have shown the greatest interest in monitoring their health and well-being through this pandemic situation. And they read everything about COVID, about blood parameters and everything. And they are using now portals and available on tools. This is a really good atmosphere of constant demand from institutions, from patients, countries, and all type of users to improve existing and to introduce new eHealth tools. This is a really good opportunity for companies and from everyone to work more on the eHealth perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very nice view and introduction to the eHealth and the systems and the patients. So I think we touched upon all the stakeholders in an eHealth environment. And actually, I just realized that we are missing a medical doctor in this discussion, but it was difficult to get one due to the COVID pandemic. But I promise that for the next roundtable or a panel discussion, we will have more medical people involved. And also as Zaklina said, the patients are pressuring and pushing this adoptance of new technologies, which is really interesting, because if you leave it up to the system or the society, the government, it can be very, very slow. But if you have patients pressuring that, that's a really nice thing. And also with the Moj Termin, so my appointment application, we showed that at the beginning. I mean, you will share some experience on that one, but everybody was kind of afraid, especially the doctors. How will they use it? Is it useful? How the things will change? So leaving the comfort zone, which is kind of difficult always. But now they cannot imagine working without the application, without the Moj Termin application. Maybe that's a nice transition to Moj Termin. So when I had this, when we first discussed to have a roundtable here in Skopje in Macedonia about eHealth, the first thing that came to my mind was Moj Termin. So I said, okay, we must find a representative from Moj Termin that will share their experience and to show also to Oskar and Mitja that we have something on eHealth. So we're not that we're only paper and pencil. So maybe Zaklina, you and Dragan can now present a little bit Moj Termin, not just the application, how it looks like, but also some statistics and the whole ecosystem, eHealth ecosystem here in our country, which I think it's mostly Moj Termin.
Yeah.
Who would go first? I also have some slides.
Yes.
Okay, I'll share them now.
I will start.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let me just go to the. Yep, this is.
Yeah, we will using a few slides only to follow.
Yeah.
I will try to briefly introduce you to the system Moj Termin. I will say something about the system and its importance for health system in our country, together with Dragan Shahpaski, of course, from the company Sorsix, which is our partner in building the national system. The national health system Moj Termin started in 2011, and it was developed for internal use in 3 public health institutions: University Clinic of Radiology, University Clinic of Surgical Diseases, and the City General Hospital. And after the successful implementation and the excellent results in those 3 public health institutions, from 2013, the system was expanded on secondary and tertiary in public hospitals and clinics, and in primary health care level at the GPs. From year to year till now, the system was upgraded every year with new modules, expanding the domain of implementation in the fields of healthcare, preventive care, and public health. The system fully integrated data from all 3 levels of healthcare, that is the procedures followed by patients in their treatment, and they are part of the national system. Today, we can say that Moj Termin is a centralized eHealth system that creates and stores data and information related to healthcare. And generally, as major modules or subsystems that are covered by the system by areas, are the, maybe next slide, if you, Christian. This is our public site, and this is one diagram for what we have now in the Moj Termin, what we are working on in Moj Termin system. We are now generally there is some major modules, subsystems that are covered by the system. As I mentioned, in healthcare, we have a booking system, waiting list for surgical treatments, e-referral, e-prescriptions. We have doctor visits register. Then we are integrated with the with more than 70 software vendors who work in the field of health software. In the field of health prevention, we have modules for immunization, a module for preschool and school children examinations, prevention programs, for example, for screening of malignant diseases, cancer register, and from public health side, we have individual medical reports from some diseases, and we have fully established disease reporting system for some major or more maybe diseases who are in our country. Someone mean that they are crucial.
Can I interrupt you here a little bit? So, is this all of the modules already developed and in usage, or they're still in development phase? Some of them.
More in this picture that you're now seeing in the monitor. There, yes, more of the modules are implemented, and in our last slide we will talk about what we still missing, what we are intend to do in next years. Okay. But all the modules about e-referral, e-prescriptions, this is everything about patients and electronic health record that we already have in our system, and all those integrations with the vendors, and from other side with some ministries and some governmental body. We already have established all those web services, and we exchange data with these institutions.
To be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised. I was not aware that we have so much things, and this is much more than Moj Termin, my appointment. This is the whole eHealth system. So maybe you should think of renaming the whole.
We have,
it's already a brand.
We have suggestion about the Moj Termin name, but it's already brand.
It's
in
a
our
brand,
country, maybe in broader, but we now work on some portal for patients. Maybe we will little bit change this, but Moj Termin is now recognized as a eHealth system in our country. I have in the presentation list about not all of modules, but some of the main maybe subsystem that we have in our system. You can go also on the another. There is a really only list of that it's a presentation from maybe 2019. We have new models every year, so there is a numbers, and you can see through the numbers what is Moj Termin mean to our country, to our health system. And as we discussed, and every time when I have opportunity, I mention this, that I'm really sorry that this data it's not maybe it's
exploited more.
It's not analyzed more. Yes.
No.
This is number from 2019 and 20. In the next slide, there is numbers of referrals.
Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and laboratory referrals, hospital admissions, general practitioners exams, and prescriptions. And there is a number of 1.6 million patients who have received at least one service, and this service is recorded in our system. This means that we have about 1.7 million electronic health records in our system.
And this is before the COVID pandemic. So it kind of started in 2020, yeah.
Yeah, the numbers are the similar through the years. We see the numbers are the similar. We have new services for the patients, for the doctors every year, but and we grow every year more and more. Maybe Dragan can add.
Yes.
Just a quick note to our foreign partners and foreign members of the audience. Macedonia is only 2 million people, and these are really impressive numbers. Probably we are less than 2 million. We will see in the statistical operation that goes in progress these days. Actually, today they just knocked on my door, and I said it's impossible during the day, maybe later. Go ahead, Dragan.
No, I'm just saying the census is in progress. So yeah, we'll see how many exactly. I think that's it. I mean, Zaklina,
okay, then. Yeah, pretty impressive numbers, and I was pleasantly surprised. So actually, Moj Termin now is growing into this national eHealth system, and what is actually really interesting in those modules that you showed, let me just close the presentation. So the interoperability and also interconnectivity with other parties that can access parts of the data and that kind of talk. Maybe Dragan, you can say a few words about that.
Currently, so we are maybe viewed, so the system is viewed as monolithic from outside, but internally it has over 30 modules. We have a standard API. We use also international standards like FHIR and HL7 in part of the modules, but I wouldn't go in detail in regards to the time. I really want to include the other, to listen to the opinion of the other members. Really the challenge here now is opening the data. So ideally we want to have the data analyzed by pretty much every interested party in the country and outside of the country. And I think this has really been a challenge, although there are many efforts. We've tried, we've opened parts of it, but the results are still very minimal in terms of the data we hold. So I really would like to here's some opinion regarding data privacy, regarding isolating the data, not only as statistics, but also on a personal level. How would you, isolate that health record without going through the barriers of ethics and privacy here? And much of the data is also in text format. It's not, we don't have, for example, doctors' reports are not centralized on that level. When you analyze an echocardiography, you would get different types of reports which should be analyzed in the text. And here you have many details about the patient. Even if you, anonymize the first name, last name, date of birth, everything, it's still there in the records. It's still his personal. Their personal data is still in the record, and maybe this is a challenge for us also for next year. I would really love your opinions regarding this.
Maybe I can drop a line there, if you allow me.
I was expecting you to jump in here.
No, what Dragan said is what actually we're facing every day, because our solutions are basically managing medical data, not only personal data, but medical data of patients all around the globe, from the phase of identifying potential donors of whatever the product is. We call them products, but actually blood, cord, tissue, organ, whatever. Enrollment in the system, extraction of the products, analysis, how you deal with that data. So we are not holders of that data. Our systems, we do not possess any medical data, but we process them. And we are because MAK is, we've discussed, it's only the local part, but actually we're an international company. Our HQ is in London. We have 6 other offices all around the world, and we're part of the Carlyle Group. So the GDPR compliance is a big issue for us, and we do pay significant attention. At the end of the day, it can be done. Current technology really does provide us with means how to protect personal data. However, what now we are trying to engage, but we cannot do it alone. It must be a joint approach by everybody, is how can we use, with the consent of the holders of the data, which means either our clients or the patients themselves. We're trying to find ways how we can use machine learning and artificial intelligence tools in order to provide better services, again, to the end users. So there are ways to do it, but to be sincere, it's especially nowadays, a daily management in order not to go over the line and do something that might be harmful. To be sincere, there are also, and we are under drastic controls. We are under FDA scrutiny, ISO certifications, different national authorities do also pay huge attention to this. And also, but in Macedonia, we have implemented GDPR legislation, and currently all the companies are obligated to comply with this. So it should be a different situation maybe a few months from now. But anyway, my point is that it's a daily struggle to protect the privacy, but still to be able to use the big data in order to bring better benefits to, again, to the patients and the end users.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Oscar.
Yeah, Hristijan, thank you. I actually wanted to intervene about what has been said so far. So I think here, what we have been hearing is that there are kind of 2 worlds and 2, trends. One side, we have a very structured one, like Damjan and Dragan, and also Zaklina were mentioning, right? A lot of regulatory aspects, a lot of very well delineated protocols and standards, and how the doctors are actually involved in it. Dragan was saying a sentence, very simple sentence, but very, I think, important. It was saying how to do technology to make things better, because technology for the sake of technology is always there, but not always is useful. And now connect to the other trend, what Mitja was saying. Mitja was saying, yeah, but eHealth and all these technologies are not only the ones being done at the level of the hospital, at the level of treating patients, but treating also other aspects as well. Mitja was talking about treating, for example, more on prevention, on well-being, and other things that are not traditionally so structured as they are in the healthcare world. So I try to see these 2 worlds and position somehow in between. And I think that in any case, even what Mitja depicted, that sounds very, very cool, very nice. And I was thinking completely like him. Maybe when in these 2 other lives in the past, when I was a student and when I was a researcher, right? Now I was thinking exactly like that, but now like a manager, I'm thinking a little bit differently. I'm thinking that this part of the world that is more structured is fundamental and is very extremely important, because in one hand, as Mitja was saying, I can come out with an app or download an app that helps me. Well, I would say yes and no, because how many apps are there available to download today? Yes. We have I think the numbers are 350,000, one of the latest reports. 350,000 mobile health related apps. Why we are not using them? Why they are not actually, how many apps are connected to Moj Termin? I don't think all these 350,000 apps. Why? Are they not useful? Maybe some of them are not useful. Are they not certified? Are they not, compliant with regulations and so on? So what Mitja was saying, yes, is nice, is cool, is something we would like to have. But in the other hand, it's not realistic really to have that if there is the formal official healthcare background there. It's like, if I do an analogy of this, it's like saying, well, you can, if you are feeling bad, some stomach pain, you just go and take this and that tea that my grandmother tells, yeah, that's fine, that's cool, and that's a homemade solution. But how about having a solution coming from the people that know, from the doctors, or in this case, from the certification bodies, from the national healthcare system behind? So I agree with Mitja to some extent, but not fully, because while it is important to have this world moving on and innovations coming very fast, in the other hand, they have to be somehow regulated, even for prevention, not only for mainstream healthcare. And little by little, this, what he was talking about, apps for the people. Well, formal and official healthcare doesn't mean that it is out of the people. It can be with the people. It can give people empowerment, patient empowerment, but at the same time give them some safety rules that what they are using works, what they are using is certified, is pushed and supported by people that know. So, I'm talking back to Mitja on this, is what he thinks about this. Yeah, it's nice having nice things to nice applications to download and nice new wearables to wear. But if professionals will not be able to see that because there is no system connecting that to clinicians and to healthcare professionals, yeah, it can have the risk of being misleading for people at some extent. And yeah, it's a topic for discussion again.
Yeah, and I think I'm obliged to say something now. So actually, I'm of two minds about this question. On one hand, of course, I agree with Oscar that we need sort of official solutions that we can trust and that we don't have a sort of Wild West in the healthcare domain. But on the other hand, this is also extremely restrictive. I remember an example. I'm not sure how exactly it goes, but I think it's about a solution to help with insomnia. I think it's some kind of cognitive behavioral therapy. And you can get solutions that worked perfectly fine and will cost you, I don't know, 10 euros a month. And there is a solution that is FDA approved for treating insomnia. And it does exactly the same thing, but it costs 100 euros a month. And so the point is that if you want regulatory approval, it's super complicated, very expensive. But imagine, and I'm not saying it's a good idea, but imagine that the data that is in Moj Termin or in other eHealth systems of other countries were available through an API to anyone who wanted it. Every app developer could get this data and do whatever they wanted with it. Sure, some of them would do terrible things, but it would also enable unprecedented innovation in healthcare. People would also come up with extremely clever ways of using this, of ways that really would help patients. And yeah, I think that we need to come up with something in between these two extremes. The current situation in healthcare, I think, is not good. It's way too difficult to get something through the regulatory process, and this stifles innovation. Getting a new drug on the market takes 10 years and costs $1 billion. And yeah, I'm sure there are good drugs out there that just didn't make it because of that. So it's in all areas of healthcare. But of course, it's also possible to abuse this data. It would be pretty bad if you applied for a job and your employer would figure out that you have a good chance of developing some bad disease and they wouldn't hire you because of that. And yeah, we have to prevent that. I mean, the most often talked about example is health insurance, but we can legislate against that. However, we can't very well legislate against discrimination in employing people. So yeah, there are risks here. I don't know, maybe there are some good cryptographic solutions that put individuals in control of their data. Maybe that's part of the solution. Legislation surely is a part of the solution. I don't know. I don't have the answers here.
I completely agree. Okay, I'll give you Zaklina just in a second. So we should actually find the trade-off, the balance. So I'm also, Oscar, more on the Mitja side because yeah, he was my co-supervisor. I learned from him. So we are still in that early life of yours. Maybe we'll come up on the other side, more regulatory, but we'll see. At this moment, we're challenging the system. We're saying, yeah, we can detect stress with the Apple Watch or whatever. So I think that there should be pressure also on this younger or whatever side. Zaklina, go ahead.
Sorry, please go.
Yeah. I would,
Zaklina and Dragan, yeah.
And just briefly, just to add, it sounds to me a bit dangerous, this proposal from Mitja. And I believe that the extremes will start first if the data is given for open processing. I spoke about my country. Our goal is really to open the data. We already have some we work with the researchers and with the scientists, and our intention is to bring the data to them, to researchers, to scientists, and then they to bring something good from something really some knowledge from the data that we already have in Moj Termin. This is our intention, and we also have some regulation in our country, but I think it's not enough for and we are really we look for the maybe European how European Union is work with the data and how it's in the world, maybe how they work with the health data and how they analyze and what is the rules. So
yes.
This is my
So we've reached the level of aggregating data to a certain extent, which is by law permissible, and then analyzing it. But that's statistics. So on a personal level, I wanted to say, and for the other participants. So now with the COVID passport apps, with the COVID wallet apps, COVID verifier apps, we've seen critical personal data regarding vaccinations, recovery, and tests stored in so-called wallet apps and verified with the so-called verifier app. So the verifier app shouldn't keep any data in it, and this is very strict. Some international organizations have published like codes of conduct and so on. But now we're seeing vendors. So I want to say we're seeing technological development now, which hasn't happened for years. So now, for example, I think yesterday or today, iOS 15 got available, and we can see that it scans smart health cards in it. So you can import it in the iOS wallet, which they somehow promote as the data keeper, the privacy keeper of your data. And later we'll see apps that connect to the wallet and use that data, maybe even use it inside the wallet, like having some encryption, as Mitja said, or encryption in computing on encrypted data. So that's very interesting for me personally, and for us as a company, which we're seeing developments on this side.
Yeah. We as researchers are very happy to hear that Moj Termin is open for collaborations and sharing data under some conditions to create something together. So yeah, maybe during this Wide Health project we will approach you and see if something can be done in this area. Oscar?
I think it's very much what Mitja was saying about finding the right balance. And I'm also very happy about hearing what just been said by Zaklina and Dragan. So this openness from the mainstream, right, from the government side, from the policymakers, to render data open and available for research. I think that's the key, because it's not that I in my lab hiding there will get data from somebody and do some bad things about them. No, but if there is the way to set up the framework for collaboration with institutions, research and institutions, then everything that we have been talking about so far is possible in a safe environment. Researchers can keep doing their research freely, open, and so on, but in a transparent way, in a way that they are very inclusive, so bringing other researchers as well, bringing even companies, and finding the right framework from the organizational point of view, from the political point of view, I think is very important. In our side, in our case, in our small region, we tried to doing something like that. Actually, we have something that is called Trentino Salute 4.0 that could be improved a lot in many aspects, but I think the basic idea is very nice, that is putting together the policymaker, the healthcare system, and the research, all the three together, to discuss about the new innovations in health. And then it opens to the industry and so on. That's how the model works, at least in our side. As I said, is a lot perfectable, so it needs to be improved in many ways, but the idea behind is exactly that. So yes, research can be free, can keep doing research, with all the creativity and everything, but in a transparent way for the citizens and together with the regulatory aspect. If someone wants to do research, should join there, because that would be the place where everything is controlled, safe, but also you have the opportunity to be creative, right? Need to put all this framework together. So arriving to set up these kind of settings in which, well, Zaklina mentioned already, they have this will to open to research. Well, why not creating a formal agreement actually with you guys, with UKIM and with other research institutions, to sit down and discuss further about this? Is a kind of idea, suggestion, and even provocation, maybe, so for people to act actually. So I think this right middle position that Mitja was saying may be at least one way to go through this way. Otherwise, there is the risk of the jungle, really, of everybody doing whatever they like.
Yeah. So I think transparency is a key phrase there, which is quite often used in recent years to battle different kind of things, but also I think also here is really important.
And another element here is the population themselves. The citizens need to be part of it. So yeah, citizens through. I mean, there is this citizen research, right? So they are part of it as well, and they should be involved and included in a way that is clear and structured. Yeah.
I would briefly add here. First of all, I'm very glad to hear the openness of the institutions, that they want to share and collaborate with the researchers, but also since I'm coming now from the private sector, also I would think that cooperation between the private sector and the academia and the researchers would maybe give some kind of the balance that Mitja was talking about. I'm coming from a heavily regulated industry, heavily regulated company, from all different institutions, but also clients and biotech companies. But yes, what we can do is set up an R&D shops on the site bringing the knowledge of the regulation, what can and cannot be done, with the insight of the researchers and what they can do. We can have access to data, of course, with the consent, and this is very important, even on what Dragan was saying for what can be done and cannot be done. If you have the consent of the user of the data, you can do whatever, but you need to reach out and ask them. And then the benefits, again, I'm coming from, again, heavily regulated company, but personally, I'm not paranoid at all for my personal data. If all of these technologies, if all this research, if all this usage of my data can improve my life or improve someone else's life, I'm not at all, I'm not against of somebody using my personal data. Now I'm talking as Damjan, as a physical entity. However, there is too much, I would say, and currently in fear from the side of the citizens, which is not substantiated. We as humans, as individuals, share the most personal data that we have, even in things that we should not share on social media and wherever, for a purpose of fun. We put up photographs from the toilets, for God's sake. And then on the other hand, we are worried about if somebody finds out about where I live. It's a bit of a, contradictory, but still, it's human nature. We need to establish this cooperation between perfect setup, private sector, academia, and public sector, and this would give very, very big results. It's not only our company, many other companies, I think, would be very much interested to use this cooperation. And again, if, I don't know, eHealth stays as a silos on its own, it will not do the job. So it has to be an ecosystem, an interoperability, everybody connected, in order for the end user, the citizens, to receive better service, better, cheaper, and faster. But also, Hristijan, we have extended our offer to the university to participate in many ways how we can make better use of this knowledge that we all have.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned the interoperability, and I remember when I was discussing with you, the interoperability was a big key phrase. So maybe we can go back now to our country, and where are we in the process of I don't know, digitalization and interoperability between different systems? And I actually have 2 slides that you shared with me here. So if I can share them and you can say a few words, because you're very knowledgeable in this area from your previous life, as Oscar says.
Yeah, from my previous life, that's exactly, very well put. I was using these slides everywhere I used to go in order to present what we were trying to do and what we have established. So, and I have to say that Moj Termin really was one of the pioneers of the provision of e-services to the citizens, to the medical doctors. So, but again, what are the citizens were put in a situation where they're actually carriers of data in their documents between different institutions, and they were usually, and we are all frustrated when they're just pushing us around from one end to the other, or the other institutions. So we're trying to resolve this. So yeah, we all know this. We can go to the next slide, which is, and currently in North Macedonia, we actually do have the entire ecosystem. All the building blocks are there, existing, in order for all the institutions to connect and start using e-services, whether this is about eHealth, and we were discussing whether we see it from the side of the patients or from the side of the doctors. But again, it's a provision of better services to the patients. So, but we're thinking to set up the entire ecosystem so that any institution can easily, without having much of an IT resources in terms of human resources, nor technology, nor equipment, can easily connect and start using these services. Throughout the several years, this of course took years to do, and it was not only in my mandate, it was started even before. So we did implement the national interoperability platform that the key institutions are connected to. We have the central electronic population register. There is a single sign-on system. There is a catalog of services. We have digital signing infrastructure, e-service delivery platform, the document management system not really related to this, and the national portal for e-services. So everything is there. And additionally, what is favorable in Macedonia is that above 1 million of our citizens, and this is roughly more than 50%, although we will see with the census these days how much actually it is, have active EID, which means that they have been verified by the institutions once, sometimes in the past, have been confirmed their identity, have been given their e-certificates. This opens big doors, gateway for any institution to start provisioning e-services to their citizens, to our citizens. However, it does take redesign of the services. It does take orchestration, and it does take a raising of the awareness of the institutions inside that this actually exists. And then we end up in an array of issues, which is, again, I was Minister of Information Society and unfortunately administration, which I could never comprehend. Many things there need to be changed. And however, if we are all aware, if we connect the databases, the different databases, very valuable databases that the institutions have to the central population register, which actually has the very basic personal data of all the citizens, then we will reduce the space for keeping separate data records in different institutions, and every institution would be only keeping the part of the data for us, which is also going to be safer for us, that is connected to their work. They would be getting the general information from the central register. So this is what hopefully now the state, the country needs to continue working on the connection of as much as institutions possible to all of these systems. They're existing, they're there. It doesn't take much of an effort, nor finance, nor money to do this. But again, as in the private sector, the availability of human resources that do have knowledge to do so is very scarce, is very limited, and we need to be very smart in order how to use them. Maybe also, again, use cooperation with the private sector, with the academia, with anyone that can help in order to grow this ecosystem, to have as many institutions as possible to the system. Again, going back to what we have discussed, imagine that the entire Moj Termin system, the health system, would be embedded into this environment even more. It would open many more opportunities for other institutions to use the benefits of the eHealth system.
Yep. Yeah, Zaklina, can we do that? Can we integrate eHealth somewhere on this scheme that done, or are you working on that one, or?
Yes, of course. I don't want to talk now about our issues in our country and government. We have
not the issues, just the positive things on this meeting.
Yeah. We are trying. Maybe Damjan, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe 10 or more years to do some interoperability in our institutions, but I'm not sure that we have succeeded till now. Maybe we have integrated 2, 3, maybe 4 institutions, but we need to do really more in the next few years.
The number is significantly higher. Above 20-something institutions are connected to the Interop platform. However, very little to the population register.
Yeah.
To the population register. And my strong suggestion would be that eHealth system connects to the population register, because then you would have updated data on daily basis about the citizens.
Yeah. We're doing it right now. So the first version is live until 2 months ago, I think.
Great to hear that.
Wow.
Perfect. Yeah. You know, when you ask a technical person, can we do it? Because, yeah, of course we can do it. It's technology, but wait.
When there is a policy inside, yeah.
Policy, regulation, and everything.
But that's important. I mean, there must be regulation. I mean, as much as we as researchers and scientists say, yeah, just give me data, I'll give you the perfect algorithm, and it will be 99% of the time accurate, and that's the best thing that you can get. But you have to think about how this will be used in practice. What kind of data? Can someone, I mean, take this data and do something not well with it? Or so there must be strong regulation.
Should fill everything and give all the consent, and it will work perfectly.
And also the consent. I mean, when you give a consent, do you give to everything or just part of it? Or can you read the whole document? What are you giving consent to, right? I mean, I agree, and 10 pages of legal wording, which can be annoying and impossible to understand without a lawyer, and even sometimes difficult with a lawyer. So it's a gap actually between privacy. So closing as much as possible, not giving out, but on the other side, without data, you cannot do a lot. And nowadays in this digital society, you need data. I mean, we as engineers, researchers, scientists, we can do a lot if we have data. And maybe, anonymization of this data, some cryptographic techniques. I mean, we're kind of, as Mitja said, I'm also not aware, but probably there is a lot of done in this area. I mean, we have cryptographic digital currencies, so why not? It should be much easier to this. I mean, to encrypt medical data. So
I was waiting for someone to mention blockchain. Finally.
Yeah,
but we only have 5 minutes. We can't discuss it now.
Yeah, but the blockchain is also something. I mean, there are so many nice ideas and startups combining blockchain.
Absolutely.
So not the Bitcoin, but the blockchain technology and privacy, data, and maybe that's the next step that we're missing. We'll see. I had, okay. Let's give the floor now to some questions from the audience. So feel free to write in chat, or you can also just unmute yourself and ask a question. Sorry, now you should be able to unmute yourself and also to start a video. It was a security. I'm not sure if it's a technical issue because I was playing with the settings, but come on, there must be some question about Moj Termin especially. I was really surprised to see all the different modules that are currently active or will be active. Johan, do you have a
Yes.
question? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Johan, PhD student at UKIM at FEEIT. I'm working on my PhD thesis practically, and the main topic is practically putting the eHealth system on a blockchain, or building a red until now. putting the data into the hands of the patient's blockchain. So I'm suggesting if there is any possibility, anybody or any institution to look a bit in more details about the feasibility of the blockchain and eHealth. So I think there is sufficient resources from the academia in Macedonia to try to develop this kind of system. So I'm looking forward for because my PhD practically is trying to define some global blockchain-based eHealth application based on Tendermint, and I'm looking forward that it could be implemented, maybe not in, not implemented, but developed in 3 to 5 years to manage its own private data and maybe give permission to a certain organization, to a certain research laboratory or whatever. So maybe putting this system could be able to manage intelligent nodes that can predict global, the whole epidemic picture in a country, for example. So it could be easily adapted to our system, to Moj Termin. It will be really easy to make it feasible one to another.
Yep. Thank you very much, Jovan, for the. We had problems from time to time hearing you, but I think we got the main points of your. It was more of a comment and.
Yes.
But do we have someone that wants
blockchain
to add something on this technical question about how to integrate blockchain with eHealth? And
if I can say something about that, I'm not going to talk about the details of blockchain because I'm not an expert, but I think exactly what we were talking before, the feeling and the idea that people like Jovan, for example, that has a solution, an idea, and technology behind, should be able to access actually through some kind of framework to the data, to the actual data. So when I was talking about putting together the policy and the other actors, is exactly that there are a lot of very good ideas out, like for example Jovan's system, that could bring a contribution. So it's really, I think the key that applies to this case as well to many others probably is having the mechanism to make, in this case Jovan, getting into the picture of what's going on with the data and trying their solutions, having test beds and things like that to try actually things in a safe, transparent, blah 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 way. Okay, so that's my comment.
Hristijan, if you allow me, maybe there's an interesting question in the chat before we finish, maybe by Nina Restić. This was something I was dealing with on a daily basis in my previous life. We had the COVID tracing app that never survived, although we did all the necessary precautions, no usage of personal data, blah, so on and so on, no use. How can we make them? We cannot. It will never happen. They have too much access to too many different informations, to too many fake news about everything. So there will always be people who will be not in favor of these. Might be controversial what I'm saying. We need to make them mandatory. Unless we make mandatory, it will never happen. Otherwise, we can only fool ourselves that it will never be in general usage.
Yeah, I think that COVID tracing never got the day of the light, not just in our country. I mean, they were much more advanced, even more privacy concerning applications in the USA. I remember there was one from MIT, but it's a problem when you want an application to be used by the majority of people. I mean, if you make it fun as Facebook, maybe, but if it's for tracing something, for something that even COVID was really direct threat to our health, but it was still, I'm not trusting this. It is one example that we cannot just assume, yeah, this is perfect solution. We have the technology, but I don't know, 90% of the people will have to use it, and probably it will fail. Okay, some other question from the audience? Okay, then I think we are just right on time. I will kind of summarize the round table. Let me just share the screen. So yeah, I think we had a nice discussion about eHealth, pervasive health. What I'm really happy that we kind of taken this global context and put it here in our country, which was my main goal when we started this project, how to not just to live in our university world, but also to go outside and talk to people from the industry, talk to people from the government, talk to people from the Ministry of Health. So I think we were able to touch upon a lot of different areas. So first we described eHealth, pervasive health, how nice and well it sounds, especially for us as researchers, for me and Mitja working with all these wearables. I have this new app that can detect a person falling on the ground. Yeah, Apple Watch is actually doing that right now, and they make a lot of money out of it. And on the other side, we have this institutional healthcare, which is heavy, huge, but it is also changing. So it is, I think, yeah, we should challenge these big institutions, even though in our country it's difficult. But sometimes, because we are a small country, it can be even easier to be brave enough to, like Moj Termin. So I'm sure that when you were building and starting to build the application, you were not thinking a lot about all these data privacy issues and that this will become the new eHealth system in our country. But it takes courage. It takes yeah, and I think we as a small country, we have the advantage here. So I'm because I'm also quite aware in what is the situation in Slovenia. They're more regulated than us. So if you want to do something in Slovenia, it's much more difficult regarding yeah, policy and stuff like that. But I can imagine how it is in Italy. So for Oscar to go to the Ministry of Italy and suggest some application. So I think we should really exploit this in our small country and advance forward. So we do not have to take all the steps that Italy has taken, for example, in the eHealth domain. We can skip a few steps. We can go directly to even blockchain, maybe, I don't know. And of course, the gap between the data, the privacy on one side, and using this data to show that it is possible. So personalized medicine, something that I had in plan to mention during this talk, but I never got the chance. I mean, sorry. So why to have a drug prescribed to a person because it worked on 95% of the population? what about the rest 5%? Why can I not have a drug specifically for me that works for my case? So in order to have this, the model, the algorithm, the doctor should have the whole history of my health status, what kind of allergies do I have, or whatever. And transparency is key here. So earlier this morning, I was also part of a panel discussion about artificial intelligence, and we are all afraid that, I don't know, super intelligence will take over and similar. But we have to be transparent. Open AI, so open eHealth. We should all be aware, okay, this data, where it goes, how it is handled, who are the people responsible for it. And it is amazing what European Union is doing with GDPR. I think that is just the starting point. So to have people or institutions responsible for something, to have policies, to follow these policies throughout the systems that we are building. So that would be all from my side. Thank you all for joining this discussion. So it was really a pleasure to have you all, Zaklina, Damjan, Oskar, Mitja, and Dragan. I think it was a nice discussion. If you want to hear more, to follow our eHealth activities, I already shared the widehealth website. I see there is one last.
Yes, there is a question. I just wanted to remind you.
Yeah, Stefan. Okay, Nina, could it be done using celebrities? I think even celebrities will not help people adopting technology. To some extent, yeah, but the Green Pass, and that's my opinion. And Stefan, how difficult would it be to amend the agreements that patients sign when they undergo treatment at some health institution for how their data might be used? For example, include a clause for research. Does this mean that these institutions would have incentive to provide researchers with this data if it means possible improvement in the system they use? Or would they be requiring some sort of financial compensation even if the patient agrees that their data used in this way? Interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, people sign waivers to donate their organs. They could donate their data. Very good proposal, if you ask me.
I think that this actually people should contribute their data by default, and they could opt out from this, because if you have to do something to contribute, you can't be bothered. You are think twice about it. Yeah. There are organ donations are a good example. If you have to do something specific about it, nobody does it. But there are countries where it's done by default and you can opt out, and there everybody does it.
If I'm not mistaken, it is that way in our country. By default, we are all, or maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't know for my country. I would donate organs, sure, why not? But I don't know if I do it by default or I have to do something special to enable this.
I think Mitja is again your researcher mind coming here. Yeah. I don't think it is by default. I think you need to have.
No, but in some countries it is. I know.
Maybe I don't think that. But I think what regulatory normally would say is that you have to express your consent for things like that. But in any case, I may be wrong, but I guess it's that way. Anyway, I like your idea as well.
Thank you all again. I think it was a nice contribution to the whole eHealth topic and pervasive health, especially in our country. I hope that will contribute to more faster digitalization and implementation of all these eHealth services and similar. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.